Yeah.
well, but I have something I wanted to ask. I'm going to leave that for a little bit later.
Okay.
Put Tom on the spot too. I'm a little bit cheeky that way sometimes.
Okay, that's good. Cheeky is good.
A little bit cheeky. I like to tease and get cheeky a little bit. Oh, here we go. But I have something I want to do. Okay, let me just mute that. I'm not going to mute. Okay, that's running live now. Okay. Let me just.
Cheeky is good.
Okay, okay. Oh, great. So we're live. We can take a moment here and see everybody jumping on the YouTube channel. Okay.
What was it like? What was it like traveling in these kind of times?
Yeah, let's save that. Let's save that. Ask me that question as soon as we come on. And in just a moment, we've got people that are just starting to populate now.
Okay.
I want to welcome you. Then I want to welcome those who are on my channel. I don't have as big a channel as you do, but this didn't take long to fill up. But we got greetings here from people in Florida, people from Oregon.
Yep.
Debbie from Oregon. Hi, Debbie. Also from Spain. Someone saying hello from Spain. MCF. I'm not sure who that is. Hi, Kiara. Kiara, good to see you visit here. And also Rosie. Someone named Rosie B. That's not Roseanne Barr, is it? Because Roseanne
I don't know.
Did a show, me and Roseanne.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, they're saying hello to you. MCF, somebody from Marbella, Spain, saying hi to you. Also greetings from Diana in Alabama. Anna, sending blessings from Canada. Manitoba, is that Manitoba? No. What is NB? I forget what NB is.
Isn't that New Brunswick?
Brunswick, New Brunswick. Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong because I'm pretty bad at these kind of things, but.
No, you're right. I think it is. It's New Brunswick. Yeah, of course it is. Someone in Stockholm, Sweden, and France, and all over. So, okay, let me just thank everybody for joining us here. And I'd like to greet you. Do you live in Calgary?
Yes, Calgary, Alberta.
Okay, I want to greet you in the native language from the Sarsi Reservation, yeah?
Ah, wonderful.
So let me just say to you, Danita da, which means welcome in the language of the Tsutana people from the Sarsi Reservation.
Ah.
And I just wanted to share with you as we begin here, my brother, very close, we are very close. He's the chief of the Sarsi Nation, the Tsutana Nation. That's child. Okay, you know Lee. You must have heard of Lee Crowchild.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know the name Crowchild Trail, right?
Absolutely. The Crowchild family is a big family. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I spent many years with the family. Lee's children are my nieces and nephews.
Wow.
His wife was my cousin, or his ex-wife was my cousin.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I have a lot of deep ties in Calgary, in Alberta, well, in Canada in general.
Cool.
When you were sharing about, and I forgot to mention that before, I have connections to Gordon Crowchild before he passed away, Lee's father, and the guys that developed the Treaty 7 for all the nations of First Nation.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. And then what came from the Treaty 7, part of it also brought about Russell Means. Russell Means, who created the American Indian movement.
Mm-hmm.
He was a student of Gordon Crowchild as well.
Wow.
Although Russell Means was from Lakota Sioux, they were related at the border, right?
Uh-huh.
The Sioux people, the Crow, the Blackfoot, and Sarsi Reservation, they're a very closely related group, tribe here too. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience all along that border with many of the elders way back in the day, where I was expanding my education, let's say.
Mhm.
I was young. I was already a Huna initiated back then in '85, and so in the late '80s, I was in doing the work and learning from different elders all around the world
Yeah.
in Canada. And so I wanted to greet you with that, Danita da.
Beautiful.
And he would always remind me what their greeting is, so I'm happy I remembered it.
Right on.
Let's see. There's a bunch of questions here, but I think a really important one that I would like to ask, if I can.
Mhm.
You know that we are right on the cusp of the release of the global currency reevaluation. So
Yep.
the question has come from many of the Huna. The question is, do we have the closest date? Do we have the closest timeline or the closest moment when that release is going to happen? Which is the tier 4, all the tiers, all the way to tier 4B. And I know we're being told we're just days away from it. So I'd like to bring the higher perspective to this. Now, yes, some people are saying they remember Russell Means. Okay.
We definitely have the intention for that to happen any day, even moments. That's incredible because we got a big fire ace. This was the past. So it's already like all the stops have been taken off of it. So the holdup feels like it doesn't have to do with, like there's something holding it up that isn't all the background work's done and it's completely ready to go. So what we want to ask is, well, what's holding it up? And it looks like it's something to do with legalities. So that's interesting because that's the legal card, but everything's so more ready than I've ever seen in the cards, with that ace right in the middle. And then the world in the past says it's already everything, all the loose ends are tied up. So if anything's holding it up, it's going to be an external thing is what I want to say. Internally, everything's ready to go. And it should just go ahead, but there's external things holding it up. So why don't we look at what those things are and how soon they can be lifted? Do you want to do it from that approach?
Thank you. Yes. I know the word that comes to mind is the World Court. The World Court who made their statements and had said it must be released by a certain date. So I don't know if that will influence.
Yeah, it's could be literally hours or days away. So already something's being sorted out already. So the holdup's not a long holdup. This is literally just this or that, or it's really, really minor. So it feels like it's absolutely a go here. Really little like details. Something about details and something about making sure people are safe, something about safety too.
Right.
And then this 8 also about having the right people in place to let it all go ahead smoothly. And this is around distributing. So distributing wealth. See, look at all those pentacles. So the distributing.
Love that number 8.
Yeah. 8 of pentacles. Oh, there's another 8. That's fast and swift, something swiftly coming. Okay. That's coming from a place of love and giving a rebirth somehow. It's rebirthing with that ace.
That the dove. That's a dove on the top.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So much. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's any minute or day.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
Now, if I can just share with that, for me, the number one, the number 8 refers to the ancient council known as the Council of the Continuum, which is the infinity sign, which is the 8, and it is an ancient, in my understanding, our most ancient councils in the highest realms of Lemurian, or even actually outside of light, outside of light, in the creator realm, in the creator void. We refer to this council as the Council of the Continuum. I'm actually wearing the codes of the Continuum on my shirt. Now, so the question was asked, there was a question about ancient councils, also included in questions for today. And so that's seeing that number and seeing the energy that you're sharing from the releasing of this energy to the world, bringing liberation and opportunity. And so, and the number 8 with it, with the continuum, which refers to, which is actually at the foundation of that is everything for everyone, everywhere, every day, is at the foundation of the Council of the Continuum. So everything for all star nations, all beings, all universes, not just the humanity. So in these details, and my understanding in these details, being that the I's being dotted, the T's being crossed, most of those contracts and agreements and negotiations had taken place in the back office, not just for this planet, for all star nations, all beings of all universes. This is something I kind of wanted to share as well, is that the office of the archangels, and this was a number of years ago, the office of the archangels changed, and this is just kind of using this human term of an office. The label on their office changed from freedom and justice. This is probably 10 years ago now, 11 years ago. It changed from freedom and justice to liberation and opportunity, which is the new, well, not so new for some of us that we've known, the new label on their office door for the archangel. And so this, understanding this card of justice is in the details, which is, as you say, days, just hours away even, the security measures put in place to also capture and gather up those who have been still trying to dip their fingers into the pie, trying to fear and get that they also have negotiations with these beings so that they are also not left out. So the justice is an energy where, they're just criminals and they get arrested, or there's security, but not only this energy of security, but also this energy of opportunity being gifted to everyone. So the criminals stop behaving like criminals, but that they also receive the gifting, and as part of their, yes, so they're going to have to go into some kind of detention period where they're, where they're being given deals are being made for them. Something that you spoke about in one of your earlier videos, like I think yesterday or the day before, you were talking about negotiations and deals and things. So that is something where in order for the collective to move forward, there are those that have just done things that are just cannot even be excused. But also for those who are like low-level criminals who've been doing these things out of poverty, trying to steal and trying to dip their fingers in the pot and stuff, especially with this large amount of energy that's going to be released. Some way or another, they need to be brought back into the energy, to be brought back into light, and so that we don't just kick them out to the curb, because this is the universe we're talking about. We're not talking about some jail in Washington, D.C. We're talking about the universe, and it affects all of us. And so even though we may not like, these guys at the deep state and all these people, there are some minions in the lower levels, like the street level guys, they can't do it, but because out of poverty, they've been doing these kinds of things. And so justice turning to opportunity. There's a new energy, a kind of a new energy for the office. So I just wanted to hear on it because there were some questions that were kind of connected to that and kind of just answered some of them, I think. Okay, so we're days away. Everybody, people, Huna, everybody all over the world, we're just right here from Janine. She said the cards are sharing us that we're just days away, hours away even, right? We're getting our intel. We're getting our intel from some very some bona fide sources that we've been tracking. Because I've been tracking it for 7 years, connected to the dragon families from the Philippines.
Yep.
So I'm absolutely online with what you're saying, feeling good about it. So thank you. Was there something else you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, every time I ask, I get the justice card. So it's karmic and right and timely. Karmic and right. So there's a karmic time when everything comes into balance. And this is what's happening. It's like the time is just shifted into when it's right for this. And I think you mentioned that earlier on when you were talking. There's the proper and right time, and we're there.
Right. Well, I think that answered a couple of questions for a couple of other people that had asked. And also, okay, so this energy is about to be released. It is not just about money, not just about finance, it's about liberation.
Yep.
You're creating opportunity for each other. And so another question I wanted to ask, or that's been asked, is this idea of this jab thing, the jibber jab. Is it a placebo psyop? And if so, what level, what scale is it on? Is it a white hat move, or is it totally a black hat move? Good hat move or a black hat move? Because it is becoming, I know Australia is, they're doing their light strikes right now. They're striking, they're walking off.
Yep. It's being used on both sides. It was originally created by nefarious characters connected to, these are my dark hats, so black hats. So all around it is black hat, but it's been intercepted, about 3/4 of it. So there's still, and I call it booby trap batches out there that were how the original stuff was meant to be. But some deals were made, backroom deals with even big pharma companies, I think, to back off on the harm or take it right out of there, something, I don't know. But it feels like 3/4 of it was stepped back. And this is where, so a lot of people are getting all of this passing over thousands and thousands, maybe millions. I don't get that ever. Whenever I look at the cards, it looks like, yes, we're seeing some unfortunate, some people agreed to leave with this thing.
Right.
But it's largely been intercepted by the good guys. And the amount of chaos that it was meant to cause and hurt and harm and even leaving the earth plane has been largely stepped back. So they didn't get their way. Once again, the black hats have been, it's not their time right now. It's karmically their time's up. So their stuff's not working anymore. Nothing's working. They're getting their butt handed to them is what I figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right in alignment with that, and thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, it started out as the agenda, 1964, when the document was brought through, and then Camelot came and was speaking about it back in the 70s. And, you know, so I had seen the document when they actually brought that into legislation.
Yeah. Wow.
And the setting up, every setup all the way through the education system.
Yep.
And so, and this is what, the third or fourth go at it with the virus, maybe three or four times now. And just so it's been taken over. And let me just say, like, absolutely, for those who are watching on the collective scale, I know there was a question concerning the collective, where the collective is at on this. We can just say the light is winning, but let's just talk some of the neat things that were happening, some of the really cool things that happened. And I want to speak to the past month and a half when I was on the road doing the ceremonies on road. Let me speak to that. I was going to, the tour that I just had was themed the Giants of Lemuria and Awakening the Giants of Lemuria. And one of the ceremonies that I was performing with the community is the laws of the Golden Fleece, or the laws of the Tower of the Golden Fleece.
Uh-huh.
Now that ceremony was to take Tor Tower in Glastonbury and initiate the codes from the Golden Fleece into that tower, into that portal, that which it is. And so the Golden Fleece is aligned to the birth sign of Lemuria. One of the birth signs of Lemuria is the Golden Fleece, is the lamb. Okay, so that's coming up in October. October is the birth sign of the Lemurian birth sign, which is the lamb or the Golden Fleece. We speak to this as the Kirihi Motu, which means the island of the Golden Fleece. Motu is an island referring to, there's a birth signs as islands rather than codes sitting up in the sky.
Okay.
They are higher level stargates.
Okay.
And so these are being anchored into Glastonbury to initiate the codes to reverse. You know, again, it's that reversing a lot of codes and lower dimension codes that were placed at Glastonbury to inhibit those who were trying to usurp the towers. Now, the towers, not just that tower, but the ley line of towers. So it's also to return those towers back to Lemurian times before Atlantis, all the way up to Trump Tower, including cell towers, all towers. And so that ceremony was an incredible ceremony. I got to send you the video on it. It was an amazing video. We had a really, really good attendance. And so these kinds of works we have doing these kinds of things for many years. Mm-hmm. These kinds of works, these specific protocols, specific ceremonies to inhibit the second dimension from gaining access to what they have been doing, slow them down, cut them off, and also to the point where there were assignments for Hunas to take their position within the second dimension. In other words, to bring their seat and put it inside hell, basically the underworld, taking the assignment inside of the underworld, aligning it to a very high vibration stargate, but also holding that position within the second dimension. So at that, there was one ceremony we did back in 2017 to clear the higher levels of the Anunnaki and the Archon and the Draconian codes in the DNA. Now, we were successful in moving the top 10 dimensions of the Anunnaki that left remaining only 2 universes or 2 dimensions left into the lower realms, and which has been the work for the past few years, is clearing up those lower realms, right? And so that work took place in 2017. Of course, everybody has been doing their part, picking at it. But we really got a really big lift. We really got a whole bunch of work done for the gods of the Anunnaki, which now do not support these families. There are no higher level gods in their lineages that support what they have all moved to the light. There is only one level, one universe of the lowest gods from the lowest realms, or I call them tiny lords of the tiny realms, that are supporting these families. They're getting cut down, right? So this is the kind of things that the House of Huna does, but also many have been doing in their own way. But we show up on location to go and do these things all over the world.
Yeah.
So that's exact.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's just a small part of it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Europe. I go back to Spain October 1st. First, I fly out back to Europe, a month and a half.
What's that like? What's that like to be flying around in these times?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the travel for a second. Now, I'm a pirate, right? I'm more, I'm a being from, I'm able to break through the gatekeepers through the tools that we have. We're putting all kinds of tools. We're putting all my skills out there, putting all my skills in front of me. I can get on a plane. I can get through the customs. I have the documents that they need to see. Doesn't mean it's in my body, just need to give them the document. So I give them the document. I don't hardly say anything. They ask for something, I give it to them. I don't open my mouth. Or what they need to see something, I just get it here. Yeah. Doesn't mean I took it. It was a crazy one. Janine, I got to Amsterdam on this last run going in, and the UK just switched over to some crazy system where you had to go online, you had to order, prepay for a PCR test, and take the test when you arrive in the UK. That's a crazy one. So you didn't need to take the PCR test before you go to the UK. You prepay for it, have a receipt, and it gets a QR code. And then you don't take the test until you get into the UK. Now, so I get to the customs and the guy goes, "You got the printouts?" I show him the printout, the code. He goes, "Great." And I set up an appointment to take the PCR test. I wasn't going to take the test. I just set it up, right? So they're like trying to put all these roadblocks in front of me, and I'm just laughing because I can see that it's just about money.
Yeah.
Only about money, and the clinic that I was meant to go to for the test, I'm just laughing. Didn't show up. Of course, I didn't need to show up because my next destination didn't require. I had another document for the next location. So just knocking these things over one by one as I get to them. So people, you got to have a little bit of courage, people.
Yeah. You do.
Have a little bit of courage and be a bit of a pirate. There is piracy in the light. we navigate, we negotiate, right? We give a little, we take a little, we give a little, give a little. Okay. And so fortunate enough to have the skilled individuals that are able to produce the things that we do to help people do. Yeah. So that travel, and I'm okay, I'm going to travel again. And I'll use the same format. But people, you have to understand sometimes if they make a switch. Now, one of the things you said, remember, you said, they're going to, there was something you said about my travels that you might have to take a few days or do a little detour or, just kind of sit back a minute and then, wait for things to drop because they're going to try to switch things. Well, they did. They did something when I was coming out of Ireland. Ireland went to the red. And then I was supposed to go to Norway, right? I was supposed to go to Norway right after Ireland, and Norway went to red as well. So I'm like, I can break through there because I have the passport to get in there. I have the pirate passport. But I was just so exhausted. I said, and this was like the last week of my tour. The last after a month and a half, and I'm like, you know what? I'll call Norway and I'll have it moved to the next date. So I let that go and I kicked back and I relaxed for a few days in Amsterdam. I just chilled out. I went touring around a little bit and I just relaxed. And so you're exactly right. I mean, I would have anyway because I travel all the time and I kind of know how things go. But I was laughing I was thinking about you when you said that. Yes, he's right. These guys are trying to throw things in there. you know what, I'm just going to chill out for a few days, let everybody go crazy for a minute, you know. And then what I did was I reset my direction. I said, I'm going to go visit my brother in Spain. So I go visit one of the Hunas in Spain. I ended up there for 10 days. We were having a great time doing some more work, ceremonies in Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's good to be spontaneous, right?
Yeah, left it wide open. So thank you for that. You know, thought of you when that happened. You have, is there a question you have for me? Maybe I'm not a card reader, but I'm intuitive enough.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm sure you are. So
Awesome.
when you sit on different lands, so it sounds like you've been doing a lot of traveling. Can you feel the energy of the land? Like, does it talk to you?
Yes, I can just. Yeah. My work is. I moved when I was younger. A lot of healing work for families all over the world, and I was doing a lot of solo work back 25 years ago, maybe longer, right? Since 80. Certainly all over the world. I started going international in 1988. So I was in Calgary. I was with the Mohawks too. I was at Oka. I was in Oka. Oka was happening in 1992. I was there supporting Gabrielle Ellison, who is the clan mother now, the Mohawk people, and Diane Longboat, who was somebody. Now, yes, I moved from the people work to the planetary work not long after that. I was being prompted by the elders, the ancestors, to move to the planet work. So I was prompted to start doing these I called them river missions. They gave me 10 rivers. Well, they didn't give me, but 10 rivers came through that needed my attention. Mm-hmm. So I began doing what I call the river mission. And what that was doing was setting me up to connect. It was like my first planetary mission, like dedicated, specific land, water, sky, land, water, sky. And so I had 10 rivers that came through that was being prompted by the ascended ancestors. And so the Mississippi was the first one to come online, but I had to prepare for it, right? So I'm living in a trailer in the hot desert of Nevada in Las Vegas. I just retired from my job, my position. I was working my day jobs. I'm a sound engineer, and I worked for Caesars and the casinos, and I was a lot of engineering work for them. I just stopped all that, and I went, this is it. I'm going to go. I'll do a retooling, retooling my skills in all my protocols. So I go into 3 years just hibernating in the desert, in this little trailer in the desert, 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But we're like, I'm just knocking it out, sweating it out. So I'm ordering all the things that I need that I'm being prompted to get. I need to upgrade my tools. So I'm also being upgraded by the connection of the energetics as well, including my dragon energies, both my hands and feet, and my dragon eye is my left eye, which is the multiple dimensional lens in your left eye. Everybody has this, by the way. You just have to activate it. And so, and also my spine and my crown being realigned and energized. So, which meant that I was not just receiving all the codes, I had to also go run. So I get myself in shape, up a mountain, again, go up the mountain, and everybody goes up the mountain for these things. So I'm going up the mountain, I'm doing the dances, and all these new ancient ceremonies were coming in, ceremonies that have not been on the planet for a long time. Wow. Right? So these are ancient ceremonies. These are the ones that we work with, right? So there's like 3 or 4 of them coming in. Then I had to do the dances to dance my way through some of it on top of a mountain, to anchor in and integrate and embody all the codings that were coming in, and then go into deep meditations on the mountain, and then also, sweat lodge was hot enough in my trailer. I tell you, kidding. When you go for a walk, it's a sweat lodge. The whole place is a sweat lodge. I'm walking around in the desert by a sweat lodge, I tell you. So going through all the heat, going through all the extremes.
Yeah.
Paying attention, paying very close attention to what's just directly in front of me as I'm walking, not so much all the way around me. Now there was one special ceremony I had to do, Janine. I had to order a Ponamu stone, which is a jade stone, known to you guys as a jade. To us, it's Ponamu. It means the pillar of the earth. It's so I had to order this in from New Zealand, and so really high quality. It was a really big piece, weighed about 9 pounds, big piece. I was surprised it even made it to me. I said, okay, let's hope this thing makes it to me. It shows up, big, huge piece. And I'm like, I'm crying. I'm looking at this. I'm standing in the middle of the red rocks in Nevada at the Rainbow Mountain. I'm standing there, I'm crying, looking at this thing. Okay, I cannot touch it. I cannot do anything with it. I have to let it sit. And I had to let it sit for 3 months before I could even do any kind of ceremony. 3 months went by, and then all of it, because all the messaging was coming in, what to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's such a big piece. So it showed me what to do. And then so I began to, the first thing I had to do was take it to the vortex in the red rocks, which we had a counterclockwise vortex inside the red rocks. I go in there, I take the spiral vortex to the center. There's 3 other people with me, and they're videoing me. They're just standing around videoing. And I have to go into a ceremony and sing a song. So I go in, I do the what we call the login, and I speak the words to the codes and the ancestors. And then I start singing the song to the stone. I'm holding it right here. Within just seconds of singing the song, my whole body starts shaking and my nose starts bleeding. This is in the middle of the day, in the afternoon. I'm shaking, my body's shaking, and I can barely get the words out. This song is a particular song I've known since I'm 8 years old. I've sung this ceremony song. What it was, I had to sing the song. There was an identification thing I had to go through, a verification thing. The authorization, in other words, like authorizing my connection to the stone, which meant my connection to the earth, to the planet. So as soon as I started singing, I had to authenticate my DNA, the lineage that I'm connected to, and authenticated by the song. And then and also the blood. The blood was, my nose was bleeding quite a lot right on the stone.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hot out there, but I can run in the heat, my nose don't bleed. I'm standing there singing a song, my nose starts bleeding. Everyone's freaking out around me, what's going on? I'm shaking like crazy, and what's happening is I've gone inside the vortex, through the vortex to the center of the planet.
Wow.
Inside that stone. So I went to the stone took me inside the planet, then I'm like this. You've seen that thing, that picture of I forget the name, there's the man, they call it, is it the Viridian man? I forget the name. It's that
circle, yeah, and he shapes a pentagram.
Yeah, and they call that the one in the many, many in the one. I refer to that as the one in the many, many in the one. I forget the name of it anyway. I'm not doing this per se, but I'm standing inside, and that's what I'm like. This whole time I'm inside the stone, and my body's getting ripped apart.
Wow.
My whole torso is getting twisted as the planet's spinning. This is where I first learned that this planet is circular, is a sphere, and it has a north and south apex. I'm inside of it, and I'm spinning, and my body's getting twisted, and my nose is bleeding, and I'm still I can barely get the words out of the song. I'm still going through the song, struggling away. And then this verification, authorization, identification of the lineage within, the indigenous cultures and the root race of Lemurian. So I released my eyes. I had to release my eyes and come back out. I stepped back out, and just for that, and the whole thing just took seconds, but it felt like days. It took seconds, but it felt like days. And the recording they have, I don't know where that recording is. This was many years ago, but they did a recording of it, and so that was the process that I had to connect to the earth. Now the stone, it was it was in the original shape when it arrived to me. The next thing I had to do after that ceremony was took 7 days, sit with it. Then I had to carve the stone. And so I had to make a carving, and I had to carve a whale like a humpback whale with a little man sitting in the tail. So it was kind of curled up like the whale's tail, like that. And the little guy was, so I had to carve this whole thing with a little guy in the tail. Piece was really big. It was like this big.
Wow.
And that stone, I loved it so much. I tell you, this is a very precious green stone, a jade stone, so precious. So I began my first river mission, and it was at the Mississippi River, where the source of the Mississippi River, which is in Minnesota, in Lake Tuska. It's near the Canadian border, not far from the Canadian border. So I go up there to do my first ceremony. And then I did the ceremony. I had to gift that jade to the lake. So after almost a year of having gotten that stone and processing everything, and connecting to the land, the water, the sky, not just the planet, but the land, water, sky, because the entire planet is also water. The sky is water, and of course, water. The whole thing is water, in different stages of water.
Yeah.
Well, different stages of water: solid water, breathable water, and liquid water. Okay, and it is a sphere. This planet is round. It is not flat. It's
Awesome.
But
you cleared that up.
So that was the process. And the greenstone. Now that greenstone, jade stone, if you ever do a ceremony with them, one of them that you might like to try is to go inside of it. You'll see. Maybe your nose will bleed too. However, that was the process, and yes, I am connected, not to just many planets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'll sit in a spot in nature and stories come to me, and I'm pretty sure they're from the earth itself, telling me about the history of the place. It's really cool. And I always thought maybe I just have an overactive imagination, but of course, now that I've been reading tarot for 35 years, I realized, no, I was channeling the spot. So I was just wondering if you had that. You literally do it. It sounds like.
Yeah, and I am connected to all the Stargate positions that are located on the planet.
Yeah.
That are to the whole system.
Yeah.
The number right now is 1344, which is 144.
Okay.
Number of my clock is a 144.
Okay.
So I don't know if you are aware of the 144. That's code. That is a code of the collective of the 144,000, which is actually speaking to the fractal. So the clock, and I track this number. All the Hunas, we track this number. So what you were saying, it completely confirms your connection to the earth and our connection to the planet. Everything we said is confirming it. The numbers. Tom and those guys use gematria.
Yeah.
Gematria. I work with light codes.
Okay.
Give me light codes, time and place, the thing to do, right? The things that are to be done in the physical.
Yeah.
That's where I work with numbers from.
Right.
So
okay.
That's amazing. Great number. We want those kind of numbers. So yeah, I mean, I connect to all the places within my framework and the architecture I work with for the work that missions that I have for the planet and for the House of Huna and all the Hunas to be initiated and engaged. We have 48 Stargate locations that in a system on the planet, 12 continents on this planet, not just 12. And they are represented by 12 beings, 12 star beings. These 12 star beings represent the birth signs of Lemurian, or the 12 birth signs around one. Okay, they're all part of what I teach, what I share. What's behind?
Yeah.
What's behind me is what we call the Hunascope.
Okay.
It's the torus field in stop motion. you see the Taurus field, you can't even see the Taurus field moving. It's
No.
moves. Well, when the channeling started coming in to share the Lemurian calendar once again, it brought everything into stop motion. So I had all the coding coming in, and I had an artist just paint. These are oil paintings behind me.
Yep.
And they're really large. They're 120 inches by 120
Wow.
inches. And I tasked her I gave her the specs. This is what I'd like you to do. And she was amazing. So all this behind me is, it has the stargates,
Mhm.
it has the earth signs, it has the golden compass, which is the crystal compass at the center of this planet, the divine union of masculine, feminine codes around me that are aligned to the seasons of light and the light year.
Yeah.
All the medicines of the 24th dimension medicines there are more, but these are what I put on the 24 right here.
Yeah.
And then right here is the seasons and the moons, the sun and the moons. I call it the seasons of love. And there are 4 main trees on each of the portal trees on each of the main directions, cardinal directions. And so combined all together, they form what is called Sector 6. This is also spoken of by the Bindi masters in Tibet and the Himalayas. They speak about Sector 6. And that is all 5 sectors. These are 5 sectors of the Taurus field. When they combine into one, they are brought into one as Sector 6 is revealed.
Yeah.
And then from within there, the Lemurian calendar is all the ingredients to bring forth the Lemurian calendar. In the Huna scope. Not the scope of Horus, the Huna scope. And it's big switch. It's a big universal again.
Yeah. What's your animal in the totems here?
Yeah, so my birth sign is February, and that's the hummingbird.
Ah, okay.
Hummingbird, this is Aquarius.
Right.
Lemurian.
And I'm a May 1. So what am I then?
So, May 1 is an albatross. The biggest bird on the planet is an albatross.
Cool.
Big wings. Yeah, and there's supporting medicines for each of the birth months. They have
Wow.
they're allocated two masculine and feminine of different star beings, nations for each birth sign.
Wow.
They're all confirmed because they're showing up right. They've been showing up because those cards that you had the dove on it, and the dove is September.
Wow. Cool.
That's the birth sign of Jesus. Is the dove.
Wow.
And
I wonder if that's indicating that that'll be when the second coming type thing happens. Do you look into that at all, or are you thinking about things like that?
My understanding of the second coming is he is already here.
Or she, or it.
Well, certainly we are 24 dimensional beings, meaning we are 24 strand DNA. Masculine. So he, she is here.
Yeah.
The name being spoken of that he's no longer here as Jesus. He's here now as Sananda. Sananda. So I don't know if you know that name. I've heard that designation is Sananda. So that the being is already on the planet and that's part of the change. But also understand, and I think people, they're going to figure out, no, it's Jesus, and that's what they want. Okay, that's fine. Understand that the Christ consciousness shifted into the 5th dimension in 2014 when it was anchored into the grid called the Messianic grid. So it went from the 3D consciousness of the barbaric age, which is the biblical, before 2012, switched over, and ceremony came in 2014 to anchor in the 5D Christ consciousness into the Messianic grid, which is around the planet. That anchored in the new codes for Christ consciousness, meaning that Jesus returned home to the family, to the mother and the father. So the word spoken for the Christ consciousness is mother, father, child, and the eternal memory. Okay, we speak to this. We speak to this, which is an ancient new. This is ancient, very ancient. It is the full family, the four, what we call the 4 powers: mother, father, child, and the eternal memory. a divine union of masculine and feminine within the self, but also all beings of all star nations and all planets, all forms. Yeshua had his form, re-entered again in the human form, but under another designation. Now, it's understood that the entire collective is the convergence, right? The convergence of Christ light, of the crystal Christ light. The entire collective is, let us say, we are all, even though some would say, they would start picking you apart for your religion or your faith. We are all of the Christ consciousness, Christ light, of the Christ crystal, not just Yeshua. Many learned, many wisdoms, many sharings, many will are coming forward in this way. Many coming to higher levels of consciousness. Manifestations, if you like, materialization, telepathics, the nine senses coming through, connecting to the planet, working with land, water, sky means so much is being revealed, and being exposed and coming into material form. Why? For the betterment of mankind. Which is what it's about, right? So that's how I sit with this. The thing is that we are not lorded over by anyone. There are no lords that lord over. That's a monarch name. Families. The families use that name, Lord, put it in purposely to manipulate.
Exactly.
But there was no one. Jesus never stood over anybody. Buddha never stood over anybody. We're shoulder to shoulder.
Of course.
If you don't like that scenario, that's fine. You can have it your way. And I'm just sharing you. That's where the higher consciousness is.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I think indigenous cultures were, I think for many, many, many hundreds of, maybe thousands of years, were actually already in 5D. And then when contact, so white contact, I guess we could call it, or say European contact, met these cultures, I think it really kicked them back, like they repressed them back, or tried to anyway, back into a 3D reality.
Well, yes, there was betrayal, right? In Atlantis, there was so much betrayal. So in the last 4 civilizations of Atlantis, the first one began 65 million years ago. When Lemuria fell, first Atlantis came, 65 million years. Okay, the most famous Atlantis, the second Atlantis, and this is the one where in the Mediterranean, and it spread its influence all over the world, and then in Africa, and then of course here in the Mayan territories, and then betrayals. There were betrayals. Now, if we talk about the Europeans, and I often share this with the Hunas, is that from the dark skin comes the fair skin. From the fair skin comes the dark skin. So when we actually say the fair races and the fair skin, or the white people, they also come from the dark people. They're not, there's not necessarily a white people or a dark people. There's the shade of color, and they come from each other. Now, that is when we pull everything back into the one language, you're going to return back to this. As it is right now, the 12 tribes created, there's 12 separations of the languages, and then multiple languages even further separating. Then there was more betrayal, right? More betrayal came around. And so, I mean, I shared this with the elders of native communities all over the world, and the higher consciousness is to share it back to them that, especially some of the communities are still stressed out over the white man's efforts, but I also shared to them, okay, in Atlantis, there was this. At the other civilizations, there was this and that. We come from the dark skin and from the fair skin. And we're moving back to that now. We have children now that are the fair skin coming from the mixed families. It's returning back to the convergence. It's always meant to come back to convergence. Unity, right?
Yeah.
So I do know that, and I do agree that these have brought so much distress, and of course, certain groups of tribes and people in Europe decided to usurp that and manipulate it even further for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was betrayal.
Yeah.
Betrayal, betraying each other. You know?
Mhm.
That is, it's not cool.
No.
No, it's no bueno. That's no bueno.
Yeah.
So I have a question here, and this I'm going to get cheeky at Tom a little bit. Tom, if you catch this video, brother, no, I'm just like messing with you, right? Okay. I'm going to ask Janine. Was Tom Numbers Ivanka Trump's husband in another lifetime?
Wow. A big old yes. An ace. Yes. You bet.
Oh.
2 lifetimes ago, if you want to get really specific.
Wow.
So, but yeah, they were partnered. That's a marriage. They were married. They had a very happy union. 3 of Cups. So they had a lot of congruency there, a lot of connectedness. Oh yeah, soulmates. Wow, couldn't be clearer actually. Soul connected from past lives. Wow. You know, it's really interesting because so many people have these weird connections to people, either people they know in their lives or actually strangers that could be known in the world. And usually it does trade, like if it's really strong and you're not coming from a, you know, mental issues or whatever, you know what I mean? If you're a clear thinking person, but you have these really interesting fascinations with different cultures, you've been that culture, or if you have an aversion to a culture, like I have certain aversions to certain cultures or places to go, let's just say on the globe, and my memory is being imprisoned in that place, or like there's always past life reasons, and whatever his connection is, it's absolute, was very joyous and very much of the love and relationship variety. So yeah.
I suspected as much, and even more than just suspicion, but I said to Tom a few times, hey Tom, like, you know, are you married to Ivanka? You like, you want to marry her? Is she your wife? I said to him, when I say, Tom, if you're watching this, hey, look, good news, man. You were absolutely right on track, right? Tom's right on track. Everything's right on track, right? So, and I was teasing him about this, saying, "Hey, how's your wife? How's your wife, Ivanka?" I tease him about this sometimes. But there you go. So, and I saw when he showed a photo of himself and Ivanka, and he was talking about her meeting at the one time in New York. I saw the photo.
Yeah.
And I could see the energy.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him, but I was teasing him.
That's interesting because I read that kind of couple energy as well. When I see 2 people interacting, I can usually figure everything out that's going on just with a glance as well. That's cool. Yeah.
Somebody wanted to thank you for your explanation of the twin flames you shared recently.
Okay.
So she wanted to say hello to her, to say hello to you. And her name is Huna Kapata. Her Christian given name is Pam from Florida. Awesome. So she's one of the Hunas. She wanted to thank you that. And as you're speaking about the twin flames, I have been doing twin flame ceremonies, convergent light ceremonies for the last 2 years. It's been getting really active. Really active. I do the seal ceremonies of the living light. It's a very powerful Lemurian return to first light, undistorted light kind of ceremony. And so when I have them with couples, they come and then I do a convergence ceremony. It's about convergence light when I'm working with it. So there has been a lot of that, right? There's been a lot of these twin flame energies, soulmates stepping forward in their unions to support humanity. Yeah. So I don't laugh at it. Some people will laugh at it, but this is not a laughing matter.
No,
these are convergence light energies that are very powerful, and interplanet's needed. That's needed for divine union coding to be spoken.
Because if you think about the dark cult, we're going to call it, has been those 13 families or whatever, ruling sort of that dark rulership that's been hovering over the earth for so many thousands of years. They really like it just went about to break down anything about connectedness, in particular soul connections like that, because it's so powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of cleansing and purification through these ceremonies with the convergence lights is specifically anchoring in the codes of the 24-strand DNA. As a combination of the two is 48 strands in action as a combined light energetic light in action, we call it. So the combined twin flame or the convergence lights moves it into a extra powerful power couple, right?
Yep.
Power couple, right?
Yeah.
Not saying anybody else can't do that. You can, depending on your energetic level and your access and expansion. Okay, you can do that as well. But I mean, this is very important for the planet. Okay. So, here's a good one. About 2015. I made a statement out in the world and I said walk-ins were not necessarily what's the word, authorized or look, agreed to with walk-ins coming into the planet. And so I'm under, in my understanding of the councils are saying that the walk-ins no longer must walk in, they must come in through their own vessel. So there's walk-ins that happened that supported people who needed supporting, and they were walked into at a moment when a person was going to pass. Then the agreement was made by the one who was passing that allowed the walk-in to happen.
Yeah.
Mostly when they're teenagers changing over, or there was a lot of indigos in the first and second wave, or the first wave. The second wave of indigos, children were taking themselves out of here at a young age, committing suicide. We lost a lot of indigos through that because they weren't able to withstand the density, right? and the political landscape and all of that civilization. And so they were making deals to pass over and allowing a walk-in. Now the walk-ins knew, so the walk-in would come, make the deal as the being was going to, bounce out of here. So there was a message that came through the councils that walk-ins were no longer agreeable to come in that way, must come into through the womb, through the body. Another part of this is because walk-ins have never been in this density before, who have never had the experience of this density, get pulled apart and end up just like with psychotic breaks, end up like, I want to leave here. I came in, but I want to get out of here, kind of thing. And a lot of that was happening too. So this was being shared that walk-ins no longer agreeable, must come in and experience the density through the form. So somebody asked the questions, what is your reading on the walk-ins? Are they still coming in? Is it agreeable?
Okay, so the way it was being done is changing forever. The death card is the death of a way of something and the rebirth of a new way. So the way it's been done in the past has to end, is coming to an end, has been for quite a while coming to an end. The secretive part's the part that has to come to an end. So it has to be known to everybody around and everybody has to agree. So it's going to be more open. Everything's going to be more out in the open. There's going to be no secrecy around it. So they could still, but it won't be the same. It won't be like all of a sudden you're dealing with someone who feels like a different person, but you don't know consciously there was a walk-in situation. It's going to be known and agreed to by not just the body housing it, but actually relatives and people around. So it's going to be more of an open situation if it happens. So it'll change forever.
Yes, and my understanding is it won't be as frequent as it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, likely not with that kind of condition.
Right.
Right.
Part of my work is to activate the new birthing system, which is a system known as the multi-grid. And the multi-grid clears the pathway for the souls to come through the magnetic field without coming through the magnetic field, come directly into the crystal core of the planet, bypassing the magnetic field, bypassing the astral field, where they pick up a lot of distortion in the astral field and the magnetic field. So the multi-grid system is brand new. Well, we're working on, we're going to do a dress rehearsal soon for the system. Because we're almost complete with all the stargates and getting aligned and being sealed. And so that's the other part of this, is that the new system will make way for walk-ins to come in through that system and through the womb. It's a whole new ancient. It's ascended. It's to assist the higher vibration of the child of light coming in. But that system is not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not here yet. You'll know when it's here. We've still got some phases to do, but that's important part with the walk-ins, because they're to agree to wait for the new process, or to begin the new process, like you say, that the cards are saying. That old process, that old savior, then the savior codes. When I'm going to come in and save this person is saying, please come in and save me. I'm going to bounce out of here. And that energy is low vibration, very low vibration. Right. So that consciousness is being done away with. So this is just perfect time. Somebody asked us, when is this all going to end? Do you have a card that say, when is the vaccine push passport going to end in Europe or worldwide? Actually, so worldwide.
This is where we're sitting now. It's interesting because if you mentally agree that it's ended already in your mind, that'll really help you not have to deal with. I know that sounds stretching it for some people because they feel inundated with that reality of it, right? But I also get a lot of people writing me saying the more they just don't agree in their mind, but peacefully just assume the position of sovereignty, freedom, personal, take back their personal power in their daily life, and just work with it in a way that doesn't assume like this is the way of life. Like I don't consent to that. Okay. The more a person does that, so mentally we're stuck in it because the word on the social medias, it exists and everyone's talking about it. So it's giving it all this mental energy. This card's stuck because there's mental energy, swords or thoughts and words. That's where it's sitting. It's literally not literal. It's thoughts and words at this point. Right. And there's so much evidence actually backing up what I'm saying over here, but everybody's talking over here.
Yeah.
That's the big illusion they're talking about. And it's literally like they've spell cast like this thing with words on the media. And anyway, really soon, people. Really soon. I'd even say within 6 weeks with a card like that. Let's hope that's hours or days, but
no, that's my feeling as well. But okay, so end of October into November, when we get into the butterfly. So the end of the new laws coming in October, and then the butterfly begins in November. So we come out of the cocoon in November, which is the birth sign for November in Lemurian. It's a butterfly. And so we're coming into that. So we're right on that. That's right on it. So, and myself as well. And everybody watching here, it's a consciousness thing, right? So when does it all end? It ended for me when it began. I'm sorry. I know. They're paying off the cops. They're paying they're spreading their cabal money here and there,
So
bribing
obvious,
everybody. So you know that that's what's going on. When's the energy going to end? Well, let me just say, you decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
thoughts and words are so powerful.
Yes. Oh, when did it end? Well, for me, it was when it started.
Yeah. It ended about 6 months in for me because I kind of bought into and I hadn't been entirely red pilled yet. But within that 6 months, I went down every rabbit hole you can imagine. I mean, I was always like somewhat awakened to certainly organized religion, certainly not something I saw right through that. And governments, obviously, I see through a lot of that, but I didn't know anywhere near the depth of what's been going on. So yeah, it's
Well, we're wise to their hanky panky. You know, they couldn't New Zealand was the only country they didn't colonize.
yeah,
Right? They lost the war against my people, and we had to do a treaty.
yeah,
And that treaty is almost 200 years old now. That treaty, and so we were wise to their ways a long time ago.
yeah.
And even in Lemuria, even in Atlantis, we know this game, you know.
Yeah.
And even when I saw it coming out, like, oh yeah, okay. This was a challenge for some of us. It's challenge. Oh, you want to play a game, right? You want to play a game? Okay, let's play a game. I'll play a game.
Have you ever been to Haida Gwaii?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on the west coast with the Haida and the Shuswap and
Because
Squamish.
they have that similar story in
All up there.
Canada. The only
Yeah.
ones that didn't sign. Now I lived there for 9 years and I visit there. It's absolutely my spirit place. I have to go there. I haven't been for 2 years because of everything going on, but
On the island.
yeah, it's like it's where my soul always wants to go. It's my soul place. And I know I've been a Haida in other lifetimes. I studied with a medicine man there. It's like I feel completely like it's my place physically. Not always, like I don't always need to be there, but I have to go touch base there.
I was they did an honoring ceremony for my group back in '89 for the work we did, because also they have lineage in the Hawaiian people, in the Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So they are connected to Hawaii and Polynesia.
Yep.
So we had to go there and share the lineage with them, and then they did an amazing honoring ceremony for us. But I spent time with them. And then there's also another person who had just received the seal ceremony by me last year, beginning of this year in February. She lives on Haida Gwaii. She came here to Mexico to receive the seal from me. She shared the story, and she's back in Haida Gwaii right now. So she's working on, she's much to do there, or she might have left by now. But yeah.
I got some relatives I found out there. And the way we found out about each other was wild. I was standing in a ceremony behind this woman, and she was wearing porcupine quill earrings. And and I used to make porcupine quill earrings. And I just tapped her on the shoulder and I'm like, we need to meet. Like, where are you from? Right? She said she got the earrings from her father. And then it turned out when we looked at all the evidence, her dad was my dad's cousin or second cousin. Yeah, it was totally wild. So I was part of, like, I was connected to the Raven clan, which is interesting because I named my daughter Raven before I even knew about the Haida Gwaii. And I ended up there right after she was born. But anyway, so we had relatives in the Raven clan in Masset. It's like,
beautiful. And you have the painting behind you.
So,
I knew, because I knew you spoke about the Haida before. And,
yeah.
And you came on with the Raven behind you, and I'm like, okay, she's got the totem there with her from the Haida. But that's fantastic. Yeah. Good reunions. Yeah, you go back for a reunion.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in 88, 89 with Chief Simon Baker. Before this was the chief of the Shuswap Nation from in Vancouver, or just near Vancouver. And at the time, he was in his 80s at the time. Yeah. And so I was doing a lot of with my culture and my group of people. We were doing a lot of work supporting our elders. We were on the road with our elders as our elders were doing conferences with the Native communities around the world back in those days. So my group was supporting them with our dance and song to support the elders at the time. So we were bringing a lot of information over. So the Haida, the shoe swap, the Kwakiutl, and the families down at Fraser River, up the Fraser River. Vancouver Island and Tofino. I have a lot of connections through there. Even now, I've got Hunas that are from Vancouver Island that are part of my team that fly here to Mexico occasionally. So, yeah, we're a big family. So, one other question, I think, and we're getting close here. It's after we've done an hour now already. And an hour. So, there's a question I had about -48.
Okay.
About -48.
Okay.
And thank you for the revealing with Tom. So, Tom, if you're watching, you got to be happy about that one, mate. Really, I really did. I mean, now you can make that photo of yours and blow it up, okay? And so, but this gentleman here, -48, and then of course, I'm just hearing about him. Is he JFK Jr.? That's the question, right? The thing is that the statement is that he's JFK Jr. Is he JFK Jr.? Now, I don't mean to be asking these questions to catch everybody out. These are important questions people are asking. They're indicative to the field. They're influential on the field, directly to the consciousness.
Okay.
So I'm asking this question.
The universe is not willing to reveal it. See that? Some things have to remain unknown.
Okay.
There's the wish card. And if people believe or wish that he is, that's okay.
Yes.
Doesn't mean he is or isn't. And the reason it's not revealing has something to do with the bad guys, keeping them in the dark. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I did look at it before, so I did look at it right on a show with -48. They asked me while he was on the show with me, Tom. So you're getting Tom back with that question you asked, because Tom asked me right on the show, and he and -48 was kind of laughing along with it. So he was happy if I answered the question. So I looked at it, and it looked like they were connected through a woman. And he was really close, could be a relative, could have been, but more likely a brother, sibling, or such a close friend that he would be like a brother or a sibling. That was more specific answer that time. So it's interesting, but it doesn't want you to know for sure, or everybody out there to know for sure. So
this answer is a different answer from the last one, yeah?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Absolutely, it would be. Because as I'm watching these shows and connecting, and I understand the effect it's having on the field and the consciousness of many, meaning everybody. They love JFK Jr.
Yeah.
They want this to happen. They want him to be there, of course. And then the statements being spoken that he is there, and this and that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that card gets drawn right. This answer comes out right now when I'm asking it directly from the universe, and the universe is still keeping it quiet, even though some of it is already being revealed. Somebody's talking. There again. When you showed the card of the dark ones, is it the dark ones you were just showing?
Yeah, the Hierophant. Well, normally the Hierophant would be a good card, but not in questions like this. And when it's badly aspected, it becomes like kind of rulers that are against humanity, kind of sort of like intolerant oppressors. So I've been calling it my Dark Hats card in these kind of questions.
Yeah. And certainly surrounding JFK Jr., there is on a geopolitical landscape is a very important answer, the yay or nay, in terms of the position of this person, should he pan out to be what they say. Yeah. That's a direct influence on the United States. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There is okay, so one last question, huh? Do you have a question for me? You don't have to.
No,
That's great. I don't need a question. Thank you. I'm really happy what I've asked and what you've said.
yeah,
But there was one about the medical devices. Somebody in Australia, Marie Thomas in Australia, is asking, what is my best move with the medical device companies?
medical device. So,
Medical devices to do with they want them to be jabbed. Of course, Australia.
I see. Okay.
Um,
So we're asking personally for her what to do?
yeah, yeah. I think it's the collective, but yeah, she's asking,
Mhm.
what is my best move with
Yeah.
my medical device
So
company?
she needs to trust the universe and can make her connection in universal trust right now. It's going to test everybody's trust and do follow her heart. If her heart and intuition says to go a certain action, don't let her brain and fears override. She has to follow her heart at all cost and do for the good of her sovereign being at all cost, right? Because it's karmic and necessary, even if it looks like she might lose income, or she's going to gain on the other side. She's going to gain everything she loses here back. And I know it sounds scary and like her biggest enemy right now is fear. So she has to step away from and do things out of what's right, that she knows in her heart's right, and not out of fear and pressure.
And I think that's a great sharing for everybody in general, right? Step away from the fear. And that suits for everybody. That's a wonderful tone to complete this call with you, Janine. I don't want to take up any more time. I'm extremely pleased and I'm full on what you had shared with the cards and your answers, and so gracious, being so gracious with us with all these questions. And one other thing is it possible to do another one?
Yeah. So,
But I'd like to invite one or two others to join
yeah,
us.
sure, we can do that. It'll have to be more like towards the end of October, but yeah, just because all the things in between.
Absolutely. We'll check in with you. I'll be in Europe. I go to Spain,
Yeah.
Norway, Ireland,
Wow.
UK, Romania, Kiev, and I hope Russia. I'm really hoping for that visa to come in.
See,
Russia.
you totally manifested being a traveler in a time when people don't think it's possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, it did, when it all started like this, it didn't matter to me. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I just had to figure it out. When I did, it was off we went. We've
Right
got some great support. We've got great support from all the people who are connected to yourself, and all of those are connected to the higher consciousness. These are the ones that help me make it through.
Of course.
Because I work for the planet. I serve the child of light. I serve my consciousness. And so I go to Russia, I go to Hamburg, and Italy is my last run, and then I come home. So it'll be we'll be near the end of November.
Yeah.
I arrive home on mid-November. And
Awesome.
I have a lot to share with you then. And then I know there's probably a couple of people that would love to get on with you and I and share some time.
Right on. Okay.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time and your wonderful gift, sharing with everybody here. We'll continue to support what you're doing. I think everybody has your details, but would you like to share them, your contact details, your website and things?
Well, I'm not doing personal readings anymore.
Okay.
I'm just working for the universe Like that's I think where I'm needed. So that's what I'm doing. So I don't need to do that. But if I'm all over YouTube. So Tarot by Janine and Sending Ravens with Tarot by Janine. That's a little bit unplugged channel where I don't have any help. So you're not going to see the slick thumbnails or whatever. But and there's no editing there. So if you like the unplugged version, great, go over there. Or if you like the slicker version where Guy's helping me out in the background, the technical guy named Guy. Yeah. So that channel's Tarot by Janine. So yeah, just come and visit me there. And I'm on beautiful channels like yourselves, your channel and various other people's.
And there was a gentleman, I kind of sent him a message, Jean-Claude.
Oh, Jean-Claude.
Yeah, I just noticed that something came through my connection. It was Indigo Angel, is it? And Indigo Girl and Jean-Claude. And because your name was connected with Jean-Claude, and I was just watching.
Yeah.
But, and it would be wonderful to get on a call with yourself and he, maybe one other.
Okay, I'll mention it. Yeah, he's an awesome, good guy.
I liked his style.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah.
Well, sister, thank you so much. I can call you that. That.
Good.
Because, we have those connections to the Araguay and Calgary and to the Sutana as well.
Right on.
Have a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever. What is the time there?
We're noon. We started at noon, so it's 1:30 here. Just about 1:28.
Okay, it's almost 2:30 here. Perfect timing. I look forward to seeing you again. I will share this video with you. Should I can send a link over to you somehow? Sure.
And I'll just share it on my community pages and I tweet it out.
Yeah, there's 582 people watching. So want to thank all those 500 people for watching. It's a lot of comments. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Yeah. And in the words of the Tutana in the field, to say goodbye in Tutana, the word is kucha.
Beautiful.
Kucha. And you do this action, kucha.
Nice. And I'll say hawa.
Hawa. Nice.
All my relations.
All my relations. Kucha. Matakwe wasin. Yeah, matakwe wasin. Hawa. See you, Janine. Much love, much alohas.